On this episode of the History of the Chorus podcast with Curtis and Josh, we take a look at the band known as Vanna. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Also, make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at IsSurvivedByProductions. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the core genre. My name is Curtis.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome to our show about music. NPR style. No. How's it going, Josh?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I am doing good. Oh, crap. I was going to ask you a hypothetical question, and now I cannot remember it. I thought of it earlier today, and I was going to start out with it, and I've already ruined it.
Well, it was a good day because I spent the day listening to Vanna mostly. So,
oh boy, is that who we're talking about today? I thought we were talking about Three Dogs Night.
ew.
That's right, folks. Today
Not
we
here.
are taking
Wrong show.
we are taking a look at the band known as Vanna. Josh. Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you.
Vanna
hypothetically.
Banana.
Okay, Vanna Banana. Are we talking about Vanna White in the Wheel of Fortune? Is that what we're talking about?
Yep.
No.
We're talking about this is the history of Vanna White today.
The Vanna White. Okay, hypothetical question for you, Josh. Let's pretend that I'm a person who's never even heard of Vanna before, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coming up to you, doop. Hey, Josh, heard about this band named Vanna. Could you tell me a little bit about it and what I'm about to get into?
Vanna has some elements. I'll tell you some stuff I noticed while I was listening today, some elements of some different bands. I think that'll kind of help to describe the sound. I definitely heard some elements of some Atreyu in there, like some middle ground Atreyu.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
It's a throwback.
yeah. Mostly musically. God, there was somebody else today too that I was like, oh, okay, that's very, very this
Similar.
band.
Yeah.
And I don't really think it was any of the ones that we mentioned who also recorded under that same guy, you know. So I don't think it was just like the sound of how
the
it was
producer
recorded, but
You're talking about the producer that did Curses for them?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's some familiar elements. I don't know. I always describe Vanna as kind of, I don't know. It's southern metal-y, you know.
But they're all the way up in Boston, Massachusetts. It's
right.
weird.
They're definitely not like Maylene southern, you know.
Right.
But there are some pretty southern riffs in there, especially on Curses.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's a tough one to kind of describe. It's, you know, it's metalcore, it's post-hardcore.
You're missing one genre. Come on, man, you're so close.
That's a tough one for what people would, because there's always that one. There's always that one that you're like, is it though?
Math rock. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, definitely not.
What? No.
Okay, so they're only listed under 3 genres.
Yeah, there's only 3 that I found. You got metalcore and post-hardcore, correct? And then the last one is melodic hardcore.
Okay, I was gonna say hardcore. I just thought maybe they might have put it under that.
Yeah, I mean, would you agree though with melodic hardcore? I mean, I feel like it would be. There's melodic things here and there. I think especially with Evan's clean vocals at times. It gets
Yeah.
pretty melodic-y. Um,
My
but
my issue with the hardcore label always comes to hardcore is definitely a style of music, but it's for sure the lyrics, like that's how you can define like a real hardcore band, that's how you
okay.
can define a real punk band. It's the more about the lyrics than the music. So, yeah, I don't know. I always have a hard time with the hardcore because I'm like, that's the one for me. Is it though?
Is it? I mean, really? Okay,
All these
quick question
definitions
for
are
you.
loose as hell. It's all just a matter of
Yeah.
opinion.
Okay, so let me get your opinion. What's the difference between metalcore and post-hardcore? Is there really a difference?
Between metalcore and
Metalcore
post-hardcore,
and post-hardcore, yeah.
I think post-hardcore metalcore is gonna be heavier. Like a lot of things can be labeled as post-hardcore, and I don't think they necessarily have to be that heavy, you know?
Okay. Okay. Asking for a friend.
Okay.
Really not me. It's for somebody else who asked me, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was like,
Yeah,
but it kind of goes back to like what you just said. It's like all these genres are so loosely based, and I'm like, I personally I've never had like a good unless it was like math rock or mathcore, and I'm like, okay, that's yeah, I think that's
that's a
math
little
rock or
easier to
mathcore. That's a
define,
little
yeah.
easier. Yeah, once you get into
Um,
like post hardcore and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So I didn't
yeah.
know maybe if you had more of a definition on that.
There was somebody that I saw the other day that was labeled as post-hardcore that I was like, really? Really? Like, and then it kind of made me wonder about the concept. I mean,
Well, remember when I don't think it was the last episode. I think it was the episode before part one of Fall of Troy. We started talking about Manchester Orchestra, and I looked them up, and one of the genres that they say they're under is post hardcore. Now I don't know if that's like the only album I could think of that maybe they would put that under is Mean Everything to Nothing because it's like pretty hardcore and or not hardcore, but it goes pretty hard and it's like more raw like than any album that they've done. But then yeah, I'm kind of like, well, what the heck is post hardcore then? What's your definition of that?
it's
You
a pretty
know?
broad, yeah, it's a pretty broad spectrum. Um, Post-hardcore bands, there's a range here, man, from At the Drive-In to like Atreyu, The Word Alive, Bring Me the Horizon, Woe Is Me. There's a pretty big stretch here, but it
This is
looks like a
yeah.
lot of this stuff is stuff that people would have just called like a lot of it like emo core or something.
Hmm.
But even like My Kim is considered post-hardcore. Thursday, Day to Remember, Alisana, Thrice.
Yeah.
It was kind of all over the place. And then what were we talking about? Metalcore.
Yeah, metalcore was the other one.
I bet you're gonna find a lot of bands that you're gonna see in both categories. I bet you
I
anything.
was just about to say that, yeah.
I bet you
One
anything.
follows the other.
Yeah.
If you get the metalcore label, you also get the post hardcore. It's a 2-for-1 special.
Okay. So yeah, I was kind of right here. So when you get into metalcore, it does start to get more clearly heavy.
Right.
There's a couple of bands who are in both categories here, but really only a couple. So it's like the difference between Atreyu and like Bleeding Through.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
that's probably the best example that you'll get here because they're so much alike, you know, that one of the and to see the difference is one of them Bleeding Through is metalcore
Right.
and Atreyu is a little bit more post-hardcore.
Right.
But you've got like Converge, Parkway Drive, On Earth, Between the Buried and Me.
Well, and some of
Um,
these bands too, you have to think you can't just look at that label as a whole because bands change. They're they're the they're I don't want to say playing style, but like I mean from album to album sometimes in some of these bands it's like they can go like Atreyu. I think they're a little bit like not as heavy as they used to be,
No.
you know. So I mean stuff like that you can't just look at it and say, oh, okay, they are post hardcore, they're all metalcore. You know, it's like no, it's I mean that may just be one album. That may be like one of their demo albums, you know, or whatever. You know, one of their very first albums when they were, new and raw, you know.
Yeah. You really have to look
So,
at that more of like this is what they did so far, like over the span of their career so far. They've
right.
done,
Da da da
metalcore,
da da
post
da. Yeah.
hardcore.
Right.
So
Okay. Well, alrighty, man.
tangent
Let's
ended.
tangent ended. Rant over. Let's talk about Vanna, Josh. You want to talk about Vanna? I've been dying all day to talk about Vanna.
Yeah, let's talk about Vanna. Can
Let's
we talk
talk
about Vanna?
about Vanna, man. All right, man. This band was formed in 2004 by guitarist Nicholas Lambert and Evan Farmakis in Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston.
Massachusetts. Oh boy. Now these two guys met in college at Mass Art, um, where they actually recorded their first demos together. On these demos, they actually used a drum machine on a computer instead of an actual physical drum kit. I cannot find these demos though anywhere. So
So
if
this is
anybody knows,
before
this is well before this is
the
before.
secret EP.
Yes, this is before Secret EP. Yeah, it's just those two guys. Just two guitarists hanging out in a dorm room, man,
Just two
writing some
dudes.
songs.
Two
Two
guys
dudes,
being bros.
being bros, hanging out, man. No, but they recorded those demos together, um, using a drum machine. Like I said, I would like to hear those demos, but apparently they're not out there for the public. Maybe because they were so terrible. I don't know. We'll never know. But soon, Brandon Davis, who played guitar in the band Therefore I Am, would join the duo as the drummer, and also Sean Marquis would join as the bassist, and Joe Bragel would be the first vocalist in the band. So here's your official first lineup, Josh. You got Joe Bragel on vocals. You got Evan Farmakis on vocals and guitar. You got Nicholas Lambert on guitar, Sean Marcus on bass, and Brandon Davis on drums. And here we go, Josh. It's time for 2005's. This will be our little secret EP, which was self-released by the band. Now, this album would go a long way to help the band gain a strong local following up there in Massachusetts. Songs were demos of versions to be used later on future albums, except for the very last song, which is titled Red Hands, Blue River. That was a song that stayed on this EP and did not make it any further. So, real quick, before you start telling me some stuff, Josh, let's run through these songs real quick. So we got I Am the Wind, You Are the Feather, which shows up on the Search Party EP. You've got Magnetic Knives, which shows up on Curses. You've got City Boys, which shows up on Curses. And you've also got A Dead Language for a Dying Lady, which shows up on Search Party EP. Let's hear it.
Let me ask you this. It becomes Country Boys. Right? Okay.
But I think the lyrics are different though. From what I could tell. I didn't look them up, but it sounds different.
Okay.
But
I like this one.
I think there's some musical structures that they bring over, I think, from that song more than anything.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But
like this one.
Yeah, I do like this one. But it's just
like the EP or the song?
The EP.
Oh, okay.
But it's just kind of like, all right, well, buckle up because it's like I hope you like these songs because you're gonna hear these songs in this album and the split next one and again on Search Party. So
right, yeah. Buckle
It's
up,
good
people.
tracks, but it's just like by the time you get to Search Party, you're like, all right, third time. And
Yeah,
they're
I
all
don't
very
know.
short, so it all happens like so fast. You probably listen to all
Right,
three albums within like 30 minutes.
right. I don't. What do you think about Joe Bregel as the vocalist though on these first two albums, on this
Eh,
EP and then the split? I'm not a fan.
it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah,
be like, oh, bring him back or he's
bring him
better,
back.
like, no.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about that split EP, which would be in 2006, the Therefore I Am / Vanna split EP from Robotica Records. Now, obviously, we here at the History of the Chorus podcast and Is Survived by Productions are fans of split EPs, so
Oh,
we're
yeah.
all for it. We're all
We
for it,
love
man.
a good split EP.
We love a good split EP. What do you think about this split EP, Josh?
I like it. I didn't know the other band. Who was it?
Therefore I Am. I think I've heard of them
Yeah.
before. Did you, which obviously you probably don't know this since you never even heard of them, but Brandon Davis, who plays drums at this time in Vanna, actually played in Therefore I Am. I think actually, I think we just talked about that actually. Yeah, he played guitar in Therefore I Am.
Okay.
And actually on this split EP, he's going to play drums for Vanna and guitar for Therefore I Am. So he's on all four songs on this album
Okay.
in two different capacities. The two songs that are on here for Vanna are Heavens to Betsy, which would be re-recorded on Curses. And then you also have Reanimated, which is just a standalone, wouldn't be re-recorded or anything like that. Interesting takes for these early songs that are going to be re-recorded with, I Am the Wind, Magnetic Knives, City Boys, Dead Language, and even Heavens to Betsy. Definitely like the re-recorded versions better, personally. I mean, you're seeing, where it's going. I Am the Wind demo on the last EP, it was obviously way shorter. They added more parts to it here in this next EP.
I like
but
it
it's kind
though.
of it's still good. It's interesting to hear these early versions of these songs and then go listen to them on their later ones, especially the Curses songs like Magnetic Knives and Heavens to Betsy and such.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with the success of their first EP, which was This Will Be Our Little Secret, the band drew the attention of one Epitaph Records. And in
Yay,
2006,
Epitaph.
and in 2006, the band would sign on with the record label, sending us straight into Josh, this little album right here, man.
Whoa. Which album is
That's
that?
2006's The Search Party Never Came EP from Epitaph Records. Now, during the recording process of this album, vocalist Joe Bragel and the band parted ways. Did you know, Josh, that the vocals on this album are done by guitarist Nicholas Lambert? The unclean vocals, I should say.
No, I guess I didn't know that.
Yes. So
Does
there's
he
only
continue to do clean vocals after this?
unclean vocals.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Does he continue to do that?
No. So, and that's one thing that's kind of interesting to me because there's just the four members on this EP, the two guitarists, the bass, and the drummer, and obviously Evan does the clean, and then Nicholas is going to do the unclean vocals on this album. And then once they wrap this one up, they'll get their new vocalist Chris Priest, who will be on Curses and A New Hope. The interesting part to me though was I never knew that it was Nicholas doing the vocals on this EP until like I think maybe after New Hope came out, I finally realized I was like, oh, that's not Chris Priest, because to me it almost kind of sounds like an early version of him. Kind of. They kind of have that same little style. For the longest time, I didn't realize it was just the four guys on that EP and Chris wasn't in there. So I thought that was
I
pretty
wonder,
interesting.
yeah, because you're right. Like he does have a similar sound. I wonder if he kind of tried to match that, like going forward.
Who, Chris?
Yeah, if
Maybe.
he
Or
tried to
maybe it
match
was
like
just a
what was already kind of
coincidence.
set.
Yeah. I don't know. Kind of interesting. Because I feel like with at least with curses, they sounded pretty similar. Obviously, they're back to back albums, but I feel like he kind of changes his vocals a little bit on New Hope. That is Chris Priest. He still has the same, vocal style a little bit, but it seems like he kind of goes a little more at times, kind of yelling almost.
Yeah.
So
There's not even some of them I think they just don't have statistics for, but they don't have any numbers up on Spotify for any of
Spotify,
their stuff, even like the most recent album. So
really interesting. Hmm.
weird.
What do you? Not what do you? But what was your? Well, let me back up. Take two. Was this your entry point for Vanna? This EP?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Do you remember how you like stumbled upon them? Like, did you just figure them out yourself? You haven't seen them in concert, have you?
No, I feel
Okay.
like you. I feel like I
Was it me?
probably. Yeah, I feel like I probably got into them through you.
Really?
Maybe. I
Gotta give
mean, I
my
don't
Speaking of
remember.
people, I gotta give myself a pat on the back here.
Yeah, I don't
Because that's amazing.
remember coming
Because
across them
I
on
get
my
all my
own.
bands from you, basically, especially back in the day. At this point, but that's
Yeah,
interesting
I
because
think this was one of yours.
I have no clue where I would have found it, though. That's really interesting.
I just remember you having the first album. I had Curses, but I think I had this one like on my iPod maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, just remember you having the album.
Hmm.
I mean, it's right around. Okay, so this is what 2006.
Yeah. This is 2006.
Okay, so that would be like in between. I'm trying to think of like other Epitaph releases around that time.
Well, would that be? That would
It'd be
be.
in between Dear Diary and Heroin for
Well, wouldn't
From
that be?
First to
Was
Last.
was Heroin 2006 or 2007?
I
I think it
think
was seven, wasn't it?
2007.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because I know Dear Diary was 2004. Um, I can't, man, for the life of me, I can't even think of any other Epitaph bands at that time. Of course, I feel like at that time we were both really into Victory Records. That
Oh yeah.
was because well, especially 2007. That was when that Hawthorne Heights album came out. That came with the DVD, I think,
So
right before
Heroin
maybe.
was also 2006. So
Heron was? I thought.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no, you're right. You're right. Okay, sorry. I was thinking for a second. I was thinking Dear Diary. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
pretty sure
songs
it was
on.
you. We probably got like a sampler or something that had like one of those tracks on it, or yeah, who
Yeah, I
knows?
don't know, man. But I barely remember what happened yesterday. So, who am I? I don't know where I am. How did I get on this podcast? All right, songs on this album include A Dead Language for a Dying Lady, That Champagne Feeling, I Am the Wind, You Are the Feather, Chef Randu, The Search Party Never Came, and She's a Real Battle Axe, man. Now, I wonder if you might agree with this. I always, when I listen to I Am the Wind, You Are the Feather, and it may be honestly the chorus part at the very end there, but I almost kind of like get vibes of dangerous business walking out your front door. They're not the same, but I almost kind of like for some reason I get that vibe.
What track?
Uh, I am the wind, you are the feather.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like I said, I don't know if it's because of the chorus at the very end or what.
Yeah, like the drowning in my sleep chorus matched up against
Yeah,
the to be the
you should
last
have
one
killed me.
standing.
Yeah, yeah. What was the one I was thinking? I have no clue what I was thinking of a totally different song for a second there. Wow, okay. I was thinking of a Day to Remember song. Wow. Yeah, and I think also kind of like that big like breakdown part on each song, um, on I Am the Wind, and then compared to Dangerous Business also. You know what I'm talking about? Or like the high point of the song, I guess you could say. So like on I Am the Wind, it's kind of like when it changes up. Um, oh, how do I describe this? Um, yeah, right after that. Yeah.
Oh.
And then they just hit the crash. Then just like let the guitars ring out, and then they come in with the dun 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 dun. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
then at what
And then
point in Dangerous
I think
Business?
for Dangerous Business is right after. Well, actually, it may be like the part where the drums kind of break out into kind of a poppy part, and then goes to the chorus, and then it comes back with the drums and Spencer screaming, kind of towards the end there.
The glass shatters and comes to a halt.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously different, but it's
Yeah.
again, I just kind of get that vibe. I don't remember,
Okay.
was Chasing Safety 2005? No,
Yes.
4 or 5. It had to be 4 or 5 because 2006 I think was Define the Gray Line. I don't even remember now. We're all over the place.
Let's see.
Oh, Chasing Safety was 2004. Define was 2006.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just a little weird quirk about me. I just kind of get that vibe from each other off of
Oh
those.
man, could we just? I'm gonna give 2 seconds here to.
1, 2. All right, moving on. Here we go.
No. Um, I gotta give a couple seconds here. We're talking about Under Oath. We're talking about several different albums here. I got to give a little shout out to Active Depression. I don't know if you're familiar with that Under Oath album, but
I am. That
and
was
I
in
hate
the.
I hate
Go
that they
ahead.
have it listed in here as 2013. It's like not even fucking close.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that was in their weird stages to me.
Oh
Like they
God,
were
it was
still
a good
trying to.
one though. It
They
was a
were,
good
yeah, it
one.
was good. It was like they were just still really trying to find themselves. Yeah, I've thought about it a couple of times. Like when we do the Under Oath episode, it's gonna be like it's gonna be interesting to talk about like those first few albums, like before the changing of times. Like I
Yeah,
think there's
Active
like,
Depression and Cries of the Past.
yeah, isn't there's another one I think too, isn't there?
I think there is one more.
So I think there's like three before changing of times. Because I think if I remember correctly, if you go on to, or if you look up like what genres they are, like over their um discography or whatever, I
Yeah.
think some of their early stuff, like those first 3 albums, somewhere I think it's labeled as like maybe like black metal or something like that. Like something really weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, the
Oh, here you go.
Active
Active
Depression is
Depression, death
totally,
metal.
yeah.
Like what?
I mean, the style totally is.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
It's pretty
And then
heavy. Like
it's
it sounds pretty black metal-y.
right, and then it's even weirder because of who the lead vocalist is at that time, Dallas Taylor, and then you listen to him like now in like Maylene, or even like on that first album from Maylene. To me, it's like totally different his style from when he was in Under Oath to Maylene. It's just crazy to me how much he changed. Oh,
Sassy's over here going crazy. Won't leave me alone. Go climb up there. Go on.
that's like 2 weeks in a row now.
She always does this.
Yeah, she likes the cabinets, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, back to Search Party though, Josh. What do you think of this album?
I like it. Yeah, I think again, this was the entry point. I think it's a good one to start with. I think Curses, if you like this one, Curses is going to be your favorite album probably, but this is a good start. It's got great album
Yes.
artwork. I feel like we
Oh,
don't
beautiful.
often get the chance to shout out some good album artwork. It's usually something ridiculous so far.
The
So,
green background with horse. I guess they're horses. They look like horses.
yeah.
Horse bones. Yeah. It's crazy. All right. That is
What about you? What
2006's.
do you think about this one?
Dude,
What's your favorite
it's
track
a
on this one?
what's my favorite track? All of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. That the way they come in with Dead Language, dude, is with the guitars growling,
Yeah.
like slowly coming in. That's so sick. But I mean, like this is an album that I could just like listen to on repeat like all day long, probably, dude, and not like get sick of it.
I was going to tell you too, there's an Epitaph Summer Sampler that was 2006. And a couple other bands that I didn't realize were on Epitaph at the time were The Matches,
Yeah.
I Am Ghost,
Yeah.
and Matchbook Romance,
Yeah.
Motion City Soundtrack. I always
Yeah.
forget that they're an Epitaph
Oh yeah. Yep.
band. Parkway Drive.
Ugh.
What? You don't like Parkway Drive? Bro,
They're
there's
okay.
some good There's some good albums there.
Yeah. I think it's
There's a span of time there.
I think it's their newer stuff that I'm kind of like, ugh.
No, everybody's new stuff sucks.
Yeah. Oh man.
Case in
Yeah, I
point,
don't.
when we get to the end of this band's run.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have one specific song that I'm like, this is my favorite on this album because like I said, they're all so good, dude. They're just all so good to me. The other thing I meant to mention was, especially, I guess this is probably a good time to say it, but um, Evans Evans clean vocals. They're probably my favorite of. Yeah, that's tough. Now I say that, and I'm like, am I sure about saying this? He is one of my favorites to sing along with. He's got a nice style and a nice range that I can hit with too. Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite clean vocalists.
Okay.
Out there for sure. And he's a really good guitarist too, man. I love his side project, his acoustic side project, Wind and Sails. Have you heard that? Have you listened to that?
No.
I thought maybe I had sent that to you, but I wouldn't for sure. But yeah, he's a really good musician overall. So
I will say I would like to hear I Am the Wind, You Are the Feather at the end of the album.
yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. I mean, I think She's a Real Battle Axe is a nice way to end it too. But yeah, that would probably be a really good way to end it. I Am the Wind, You Are the Feather.
Yeah. Do you know who's doing like guest vocals on that?
Just some random people. I mean, their names are in this.
I'm hearing at least one woman's voice.
Yeah, there's 3 people.
Unless it's like Alisana and there's like 2 guys who sound like women in the band.
No, it says choir vocals by Grace Reed, Sarah Vanessa, and Stephanie Seeliger.
Okay.
So there's three women.
Okay. Sounds great.
But I'm sure like some of the guys in the band too probably sang on that part. Because there sounds like there's a guy's voice in there somewhere. At least one guy. But all right, that is 2006's Search Party Never Came EP from Epitaph Records. Like I said, Nicholas Lambert, the guitarist, would be filling in on unclean vocals on this EP, but soon he would have to go back to just doing guitars. Darn.
Ah,
man. Chris Priest would be joining the band as their new vocalist. And following a quick tour with the band, the group of guys would enter the studio once again for their first full-length album in 2006. And later in 2007, they would release it. Do you know what that album is, Josh? Do you have any idea what it might be?
delicious.
What?
It is the
I
album
wasn't expecting
Curses.
that. Okay, aka Delicious
Yeah, it is delicious.
from Epitaph Records. This is going to be the last album with founding drummer Brandon Davis. And we talked about this in the last episode about Fall of Troy, but this album would be produced by Matt Bayless, who also worked with Minus the Bear, Pearl Jam, and did Norma Jean's Oh God, The Aftermath. Now, when asked about this album by the band members, they described it as, quote, a whirlwind of discordant riffs, vicious screams, and brutal breakdowns interlaced with melody and passion, end quote. Do you agree, Josh?
Yeah. I mean, it's their album. They fucking know.
Sure. Yeah, it's
Their
our
album.
album.
They know better
We
than me.
can say whatever we want. How would you describe Curses, Josh?
This is their most southern feeling album.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Songs on this album include The Alarm, The Vanishing Orchestra, Surgical Tools, which I feel like is a underrated song on this album, dude. I think it's got a nice ending to it. There's also The Things He Carried, Magnetic Knives, which we talked about earlier, Trophy Wives. You got the interlude song Homeboy or Homeboys.
Homeboys, goddamn.
You got Home, and then you got Country Boys, and then you got Heavens to Betsy, which again we talked about earlier. We also have We Ate the Horse You Rode In On, This Map is Old News, and You Were Never Lovelier. Josh, what's up with that album artwork?
Behind me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is Curses, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't get a good look there. Hold on, let me.
It's like it's two people, and one of them looks like he's in an old school clown costume. That's why I always thought it looked like to me.
Oh. Yeah. Maybe we're looking at like this is some kind of ballet or something, maybe, but it looks like they're outside. There's like trees.
What is happening?
No. She's wearing something kind of weird too. He's got a bunch of the weird like frill. It kind of looks like a Pavarotti type costume, you know?
That's what I was thinking. So weird. It's that this album artwork always intrigued me. It was like, what does this mean?
Do you feel like the album lyrics are going with it at all?
I don't know. See, that's what I'm wondering too. If there's actual like premise here,
Yeah.
concept. I don't know. I have to look more into it. I will say though, I always when I think of this album, do you know what other album I think of outside of Vanna? It's a weird. You're probably not gonna get it. It's a weird combination.
No.
But there's a reason for it. So I always think of Maylene and Sons of Disaster album 2 because I bought both Curses and Maylene 2 at the same time at Best Buy. And it was a happy day. And there was much rejoicing.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yeah.
I think the last
it was a good time, man.
CD I bought was probably He Is Legend, and it was Heavy Fruit.
Heavy Fruit, okay.
And even that was like late. That was late in the game. You know, like I should not have been buying CDs at that.
Why am I buying this? Yeah. Well, all right. That is 2007's Curses from Epitaph
Oh wait, no.
Records.
Okay, no. We're not done here. we're gonna talk a few of these songs. Yeah, we're not done.
I'd forgotten. Yeah, I forgot where we were at, so I didn't even know if we'd talked about anything yet. Really, to be honest, so I thought, I'll just move on, see what happens. I'll just see what happens here.
I just want to list some notable tracks.
No,
The
go
Alarm,
for it.
like The Alarm, really kicks off the album really well.
Mm-hmm.
Gets right down to business.
Great introduction for Chris Priest on vocals there.
Yeah,
on that song.
The album is really great as a whole, but High Points, The Alarm, like you were saying, Surgical Tools, that run, Surgical Tools, Things He Carried, Magnetic Wives,
Knives.
Magnetic Knives, Trophy Wives.
Magnetic wives and trophy knives.
um, and then Home is like the interlude, basically.
Yeah.
Then into Country Boys. Like it, and then it really run. Okay, so it just the only
Let's just say
down
this.
point
There's a run from The Alarm all the
through
way to
the
You
end
Were
of the
Never
album.
Lovelier.
No, the only slightly, kind of dip there for me is the Vanishing Orchestra. It's still a good
What?
song. It's still a good song. It's just not because when I run through the rest of these, I'm like, no, these all just play so well into each other.
Come on, man.
You Were Never Lovelier, that one too. Like it's good, but I could also end the album on This Map Is Old News,
I was
and
just about
it
to say that,
still
yeah.
end at a high
It's still would
point.
have fun, yeah. What's you got a riff for this album, Josh?
Oh, we got a cat fight. We
No.
got a cat fight over here.
Oh.
Oh, she's punched him in the back of the head.
Nice.
Do I have a favorite riff from this album?
Well, I just didn't know if you could hum us a riff since I just did one.
Let's see.
Come on, man. I can give you another one. Da 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 da. Ba-da-da-da-do, ba-da-da-da-do, da-da-da-da-da,
Let's see.
da-da-da. Nice. Nice one. Nice. Anything else about curses, Josh? Do you have a favorite song on curses? I know that's a tough one again, right?
Yeah. It would be a tie probably between Things He Carried and Country Boys.
I bet I knew you were always a big Country Boys fan.
Yeah.
And I think I always wondered this too about Country Boys. Hold on one second here. Let me confirm something. Confirming. Processing. I think if I remember correctly that Chris Priest what the heck? This is saying Chris Priest was in Less Than Jake? That's weird. Surely not. Anyway, maybe I don't know. Anyway,
Could have been.
I feel like at one point I had read that Chris Priest is actually from Texas. And so I wonder if they changed the title of the original song from City Boys to Country Boys because of him being country.
Maybe.
I don't know. I always kind of wondered that.
I do like it would be cool though if they had two different songs. One was City Boys and one was Country Boys.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the lyrics are different for sure. I mean, it doesn't sound like the same lyrics from Country Boys, but I didn't look it up. But it sounds different.
You know what is highly underrated?
What, a song?
He Is Legend does a thing that I feel like not many bands do. Some bands do. I've heard this from some bands.
Are you talking about like China White 1, China White 2, China White 3?
Yes.
Okay.
I like those.
Okay.
Because the first one is the first one is a little bit softer, and then the middle one
it's a little heavier.
It gets a little grittier. And then the other one's more kind of spatial,
Yeah. I think of you saying that makes me think of this is way different, but makes me think of Me Without You. Their album Brothers and Sisters. There's either 3 or 4 songs on there and they're all the same musically, but the lyrics are different. I think one they're called like, oh, let me look it up real quick. I have it on my phone, dude.
Have you listened to the new He Is Legend yet?
I've not. Have you?
No.
I thought you'd said something about you were kind of like skeptical after hearing like the last, like the single that came out or whatever.
Yeah, it was okay. I don't know. White Bat was pretty. It was okay. You know, it was good. It was good. I'll say that.
Yeah. So there's three songs. It's Yellow Spider, Orange Spider, and Brownish Spider, and they all have the same musical style to them. I mean, it's basically like, I don't know. It's one of those you just go listen to it and you'll understand.
Okay.
Uh, they're real like, I think they're like minute long, maybe less. Anyway, what are we talking about? What are we doing? Are we doing a podcast? We're in the middle of a podcast episode. Why didn't somebody tell me that? Anything else, Josh? Oh, okay.
I like the common themes too. You know, like I like to hear.
Wait, are we
those
back on
reoccurring-
curses?
No.
Okay.
I like to hear
I'm so
those
confused where we're at.
those reoccurring themes that like He Is Legend does. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you hear like the gardener is like one of their characters, you know, that
Oh,
you
yeah.
see a lot in multiple albums. The man with the roses that grow from his hands.
Would that fall under the category too of what you said about Once Nothing, always talking about floods and streetlights?
Yeah. They're always talking about gardening as some weird metaphor or some creepy character.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, back to the band that the episode's about.
The episode is about. I don't know what the episode is about anymore. Do you have anything else on curses, Josh?
No, I'm done.
It's a good album. Do you think this is their best album?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like as a whole, this is their high point.
Yeah.
They're at their pinnacle right here.
I think so definitely good beginning to end.
Yeah, I was like they definitely started great with their first two albums, the EP and this one, and their first full length.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, on tour in 2008, Brandon Davis would play his final show with the band Vanna. And a friend of theirs, Ryan Seaman, would fill in on drums for the rest of the tour. Now, he wouldn't stick around with them forever. Chris Campbell would actually officially become the new drummer.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's begun, man.
Yeah, now we put out a good album. Let's rotate all the members out. We had a good thing going. Man. Let's fuck it up, guys.
Let's change it up, man. Yeah. Chris Campbell is formerly of the band Jonah Vale, and he would be the new drummer for Vanna. All right. Let's take a look, Josh, at 2009's A New Hope from Epitaph Records. Here we go again with the lineup changes. This would be the final album with vocalist Chris Priest, so he only made it on 2 albums, unfortunately. This album is actually produced by Steve Avett. Now, Steve has produced albums such as Senses Fails, Let It Enfold You, He Is Legends. What is that? Hold on one second. Because I got like these albums in like acronyms instead of like spelling out the whole thing. Okay. He Is Legends, Suck Out the Poison. He also did, Josh, see if you remember this, because we've talked about this guy's name before. He did Every Time I Die's Big Dirty and New Junk Aesthetic.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Those are our two favorite albums by Every Time I Die.
Man. He also did Alicena's Where Myth Fades to Legend. And he also did Newfound Glories.
That one's not that good.
What? Where Myth Fades to Legend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got 2 good albums like on either side of that. Then that one just
I was about to say it's like kind of smack.
Didn't you have that one? Didn't you have Where Myth Fades to Legend?
No, I didn't have that.
Okay.
You had that. I got that from you.
Did I have that one?
Yeah, I got that one from you. And then there's also Newfound Glory's 2020 Forever Plus Ever times Infinity. I know you're a Newfound Glory fan. Have you heard that one? I was interested to see if you heard that.
You said that was
If
2020?
I'm about to say, if you ask me what year that comes out, I'm going to smack you.
The last album that I listened to of theirs was it would have been like 2018, maybe.
Okay, so you just missed out on this one.
Okay, so here's that one, Forever and Ever Infinity. And then before that, oh, they did another screen to stereo. You know those ones that they did where they cover different movie songs?
Oh no.
So like the first one has Never Ending Story on it and like a couple
It's a
other
never-ending
80s movies.
story.
This one has Accidentally in Love. Man, I don't want to hear that song covered ever by anyone. The Counting Crows fucked that shit up. They ruined that shit.
Oh man. Way to go.
They do Eye of the Tiger on this one too.
Oh god.
Okay, so the last album that I listened to was 2018's Makes Me Sick. And yeah, that one's pretty good. I don't know, they never really changed their shit up.
They just keep pressing on.
Yeah, they've got the same formula. They've been doing it for years. So every time a new album comes out, I'm always like, is this going to be any good? And it's always just kind of the same level,
Is
you know?
is this going to be the falling off point?
I mean, only
Yeah.
the first like maybe 4 or 5 Newfound Glory albums are really that's the heart of where it's at. After that, you're just
Yeah.
kind of hearing the same thing over and over. It's good. It's just not,
It doesn't jump out at you. Yeah.
it's not Sticks and Stones. It's
Right,
not,
yeah.
Catalyst.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I hear you, man. Well, when describing the writing and recording process of this new album, vocalist Chris Pierce had this to say, quote, "This record was approached with more of a group mentality. We talked a lot about what we liked and disliked about our last 2 releases. That would be Curses and the Search Party EP. What did you, I mean, like, I would like to know what you disliked about those 2 albums because, like, I think they're both gold. So I don't know what you're talking about, Chris.
we went in there. We talked about what worked, what didn't work.
And then we realized
teamwork. It's about
nothing was
teamwork at
bad,
the end of the day.
Yeah. He also said, and each one of us were able to express ourselves in every step of the process. We locked ourselves in our practice space for 2 months. Everyone threw out song ideas, and the ideas were fleshed out into something that we were all happy with. All of our individual influences and inspirations played a big role creatively. Creatively. Goodness.
Creatively.
Creativity. Oh man, songs on this album include Let's Have an Earthquake, Into Hell's Mouth We March, The Same Graceful Wind, Life-Changing Seasons, Trash Mouth, Safe to Say, We Are Nameless, Sleepwalker, Where We Are Now, 10 Arms, Life and Limb, and the finale, The Sun Sets Here. Give us your thoughts, Josh, on 2009's A New Hope from Epitaph Records.
So I had never listened to this album until getting prepped for this episode.
Okay.
I haven't listened to any of their stuff after Curses, up until 2016. What was that one? All Hell.
All Hell. Yeah, that was the last album that they did.
Big
change,
dude,
huh?
Yeah, and my beef with that one is they just remind me of
oh boy.
Let me look real quick. Give me Did you had this album, didn't you?
Which one? New Hope? No.
Yeah.
I only had Curses and Search Party. Yeah, I didn't
like almost
for some reason
that you did.
No, for some reason I never bought this one. Or maybe I did. Where the
I
heck is it
really
at
thought
then?
you had this
Where is it
one,
at
man.
then? Maybe I did. I don't remember. I don't know. It's a good album. I like it. Do you like this album?
Yeah, actually, after listening to it, I kind of figured that they had like fizzled, like I knew about, I guess, like lineup changes and stuff. Anytime I hear about that, I'm always like scared to even listen to the
Yeah.
next album.
No, I think I don't have a problem with the drums. I think both um, Brandon Davis and Chris Campbell are both good drummers. Um, yeah, I don't have a problem with the drums on this album at all.
Okay,
Um,
so the All Hell
all
album,
hell,
the
yeah.
2016, it reminds me of Sworn In. I don't know if you know who Sworn In is.
I've heard of them. Bless you.
Absolute garbage. It's like it's just a bunch of super young kids,
Mhm.
and they're pretty decent musically. Um, but it's just like lyrically, dude,
Immature.
just god awful, just
Yeah.
terrible. Just like it feels like they're writing what they think an album like that should sound like instead of just what they want to do. So on the shitty side of what they're doing, there is Sworn In. On the really good side of the thing they're trying to achieve, there's Knocked Loose.
Okay.
So it's like the worst possible version of Knocked Loose.
Okay.
At least Knocked Loose
Interesting.
is like talking about something, you know? Like their music goes like hard as shit, and he's actually trying to convey a message of some
Right.
kind.
Not just writing music just because.
Sworn In is literally like the worst like
We
emo
want.
lyrics set
Yeah.
to the most brutal fucking music. So it just is not like it just
Weird
doesn't
mash, man.
match up, man. Yeah, and it
That's
comes off
interesting.
really sad, just really
Okay.
pathetic.
Depressing hardcore.
Yeah,
Interesting. Very
you're
interesting.
trying too hard.
You're trying too hard, man.
It's like
Well,
a band when they have that element. When you hear their music and you're like, "Oh man." Another one is Disturbed. It's like, dude, your music, if you just put different vocals to that, it'd be a totally different story. You know? Like
uh,
you bring in a good vocalist. You bring in a good vocalist instead of that guy. And then now we're cooking.
I can't believe we brought that name up on this show. How dare you speak that name?
No, we're gonna mention some bad ones.
Yeah,
No,
not
tell me.
good.
I mean, you gotta agree to that.
No, I agree with that.
The
I
music
just
is the
like I
exact
don't
same
want
thing
to
you
think
would
about
hear
that band.
from
I just
several
don't want to
bands that
think
we
about that
listen
band,
to,
bro. Yeah.
but it's the
Oh yeah.
vocals
Well, but
that
that's the thing about it. I mean,
completely.
you think about the elements of a band. It's like the thing that a lot of times can make or break a band is the vocalist
Yeah,
and their style. I mean, that's people aren't singing along to the guitars or the bass, bro. They're singing along to the vocals.
you won't come like a woman and suffer.
What is that? Is that rapping? I don't know what that is, man. Is he having a stroke while trying to sing? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Let's get back to Vanna. Let's get away from that. Please get away from that. Let's get back to New Hope, bro. What do you think about some of the songs on here, Josh?
I do like it after listening to it. Um,
Do you have a favorite or favorites?
Either Trash Mouth or Sleepwalker.
Okay, let me ask you this then. With saying Trash Mouth, now, have you seen the music video for Trash Mouth?
No,
Okay. Have you listened to the EP that comes after this album yet?
no.
Honest. Okay. All right. Well, I'll save that question for later then, because they're going to re-record that song
Okay.
on the next EP, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now and warn you. They're also going to re-record a Dead Language on this next EP, and it is the worst thing that they could have ever done for their namesake, bro. They destroyed that song. It's just leave it be, bro.
Why? Yeah, dude. Okay,
Because
we're gonna have to side tangent again for 2 seconds because you saying
one,
that made me
two,
think that fucking Maylene, dude. Like I watched some of one of the shows that they played recently,
oh,
and
Hellfest or Furnace Fest, probably.
yeah, and I really didn't like watching that group of guys who wasn't a part of anything going on in the first two albums
Yeah,
play a bunch of songs from the first two albums.
right.
Like it just felt weird. It didn't sound right. Like I don't know, it just kind of
It's tough, man. I mean, all those years later, yeah, and
yeah.
you don't have the same members, and
It's
yeah.
time to put it to bed.
Oh, really? No, dude, put it to bed. That would suck.
It would
I mean,
suck,
I
but
get
it's just
it,
it's
but
not the
at least you
same,
still
man.
have the albums though, so you can just at least listen to those. But yeah, they're gonna re-record Trash Mouth and Dead Language on the next EP with their new vocalist, and Trash Mouth is okay. I like both versions to be honest. Um, I am no, I am not on board with the Dead Language um re-recording. It's not good. I don't like it. I think they
It's
should have left
upsetting.
it. It's very upsetting, dude. They should have left it alone. I don't understand. It's like I get doing Trash Mouth because it's like recent. It's one album ago. But why are you going to go all the way back to something that was good? And I mean, dude, I mean, why, man? Why? If you're going to do that, just do it as show. Don't put it on recording where I have to listen to that over and over and over. Yeah. So anyway, so you said Trash Mouth and Sleepwalker, right? That's what you said.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
might skip over that. Might skip over that track. The
What track?
re-recording.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was just kind of a side note there. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I like this one. This is another album, kind of like the first two. It's like I can just listen to this one on repeat from "Let's Have an Earthquake" all the way to "The Sun Sets Here" over and over and over. Actually, in fact, I did that today. I think I listened to it like two or three times in a row. I was doing some stuff, so I had that just kind of playing in the background. But yeah, I don't know. You probably won't relate to this, but on this album, there was a couple of times that Evan's clean vocals almost made me think of Shane Toll from Silverstein back in the day. Some of his clean vocals. There was a couple of times like I was kind of like, wait, is that Shane Toll singing on this album? I was like, no,
Okay.
no, it's just Evan. And then here's an even better one for you. At the very end of The Same Graceful Wind, when I think they just kind of let the guitars ring out and it's just Evan singing at the very end there. The way his vocals sound, it almost sounded like and I can't think of his name, but the lead vocalist from Bayside, it almost made me think of his voice. Kind of. So it was kind of interesting to me, but
Huh.
yeah.
Okay.
Anything else,
What's
Josh,
what's
on
your favorite
2009?
what's your favorite track on the album?
I don't know if I really have a favorite. I mean, like Safe to Say is really good. That was the first one I ever heard from this album back in the day. Obviously, it was accompanied with a music video. I like. I think the first three songs are a really good group. Let's Have an Earthquake, Into Hell's Mouth We March, and The Same Graceful Wind. Trash Mouth is good. Like I said, I like both versions. This one and the re-recorded version later on. But yeah, like I said, safe to say. We Are Nameless is pretty good. Sleepwalkers is good. Like I said, just as a whole for me, it's one of those I can listen to front to back over and over and over on loop and not bat an eyelash or anything. So
Okay.
anything else, Josh, about 2009's A New Hope?
No, I don't think so.
This is it, people. This is where it starts going downhill. This is where it starts changing. This is where life gets dark and dreary.
Are
So
we
like I said,
covering
go ahead.
are we covering the rest of this in one part or two?
In one part.
Okay.
Do you think we really need to do 2 parts?
I mean, I don't think we'll have as much to say about these other albums.
Personally, on our opinions, no.
But there are.
There's 4. Well, there's 4
Jesus.
full albums and there's 2 EPs. 3 EPs.
Yeah, 4 full albums.
4 fulls, 3 EPs. Yeah, we won't. I'm sure we won't have a whole lot to say about some of those. I won't personally.
Yeah.
But and I mean if it ended up turning into, something we had to do a 3rd part, that's fine. Not a big deal. Maybe a wrap-up episode. So all right, well, like I mentioned, this was the last album with vocalist Chris Priest. He would leave the band in July of 2009 for, quote, personal reasons, whatever that means. Yeah. He would be replaced by Davey Muse, vocalist from the band Seeker Destroyer. Or Seeker Destroy. Weird. All right, so that's going to leave us with a 2009 lineup of Davey Muse on vocals, Evan Pharmacus on vocals / guitar, Nicholas Lambert on guitar, Sean Marquis on bass, and Chris Campbell on drums. Got any final thoughts, Josh, on the first 4 albums from Vanna?
No, I mean this is as good as it's going to get for them.
Buckle up, people. It's going to be a bumpy ride from here.
It's only going to go downhill for them from here.
Yeah.
Unless you're into like the ridiculous new
maybe you're into that
shit,
Maybe you're into that, man. Yeah, I just feel like, and we talked about it before, I mean, you can replace a bassist, you can replace a drummer and really not skip a beat. I think once you start replacing guitarists, you're starting to kind of tread a thin line. But when you change vocalists, dude, that's okay. It's like, all right, here we go. This is make it or break it. And more times than not, it's a break it, and this, I was talking to somebody just this afternoon about when you get vocalists in, a lot of times it's like here's your vocalist he leaves. A lot of times you'll have another vocalist and he's pretty close, maybe a little bit off or whatever. But to me, with Davey Muse, it's like he came in, dude, and he just like took a hard right just because of like his aggressive vocal style and everything. It's more kind of punk rock to me, kind of. So, but yeah, that's going to do it on this episode. Anything else, Josh? You look like you were looking up information. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, I thought I was unmuted and then I muted myself. The only way that works is if you take a band that's already having problems and has put out some crap albums, and then you bring in a good vocalist and put him in, to replace the one who was subpar. And
do you have an example?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry,
Chelsea Grin. Chelsea Grin is good again. They've been good these last few albums because they brought in Tom Barber from Lorna Shore.
Okay.
And Lorna Shore was already like they're big, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And his vocals are like stupid. Like if you don't know who Tom Barber is, look him up. His vocals are, even if you're not into that, even if you don't like that is impressive.
Okay.
So, yeah, Chelsea Grin brought Tom Barber in, and now things are, just trending upward for them. So,
right. Or you have the very rare, probably never going to happen again case like we had in Norma Jean, where you get in early enough and you switch up the vocalist and it still works out great, man. Maybe even better.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then you get 2 great bands out of that.
Great albums. Yeah, you can't. That's the thing. It's always like after we've got a winning formula, let's fuck it up. Like let's found it, guys.
Up,
we
man.
found it.
Now I don't like this. I don't like it, man. Let's screw it. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. and we get to talk about it
Mhm.
in the next episode. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, folks, but on our other shows too. We've got the Red Right Hand podcast, which covers all 6 seasons of the BBC/Netflix hit TV show, The Peaky Blinders. We've also got the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which we just wrapped up not so long ago, which covers the first season of HBO's House of the Dragon. Yes, Josh?
Throne of the Dragon, titles.
Titles. Yes. But yes, that covers HBO's House of the Dragon season 1. And hopefully in 2 years, if you stick around that long, we'll get season 2.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we're gonna have some
There's little things
coverage
here and there,
over
yeah.
Aegon's conquest and Maker's reign and Jaehaerys and Alysanne, which is where the show starts, where that flashback starts at.
This guy over here is going to give us all the deets.
We're going to get in there. We're going to get deep inside of Westeros.
Professor Gary over here getting deep inside.
Westerosi historian.
Oh, man. Hey, also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary.
Titles.
Also, make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, head over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions, and then I'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel and thumbs up the video. And also make sure to go check us out on TikTok at Is Survived by Productions. Anything else, Josh?
Nope.
All right. Professor Gary signing out. We'll see you in the next episode for part 2 of Vanna. See you.
See ya.